All right, well in this step, we're going to take a look at how to enhance color. And if you remember, we created an image called color. It was before the contrast was adjusted. And you've probably noticed that if you take an image and you use hue and saturation in RGB or in CMYK, you may run into artifacting issues. And this is one of the huge advantages of working in LAB color mode. In RGB, if you add red, green, or blue, not only are you making the image redder, greener, and bluer, but you're also making it lighter. In CMYK, which is a subtractive process, if you add cyan, magenta, yellow, or black, you're making your image cyaner, magenta-er, yellower, and blacker, and you're making it darker at the same time. You cannot separate color from density in RGB and CMYK. So I guess you could call those linked color modes. Well, LAB is an ununified color mode. In other words, color can be adjusted separate from contrast. We're going to take our RGB image here and go to Image Mode, LAB Color. Now be honest, how many of you thought that was lab? Well, that's not CIMIC, and that's not ERGBA. LAB is not an acronym. It doesn't really stand for anything. If I choose LAB color, let's take a look at our channel panel. You'll notice that our channel panel has a lightness channel. Now many people refer to this as perceptual density. In other words, the way you perceive an image based on how light and dark it is. We also have an A channel and a B channel, and these don't really look like traditional color channels. As a matter of fact, they look kind of unusual. Well, the A and B channels work like this. In the A channel, anything that is light represents the color magenta. Anything that's dark represents the color green. As you go from light to dark, you shift from magenta to green, which are opposites in the Munsell color wheel. Anything that's 50% gray is neither magenta nor green. In the B channel, we have a similar relationship in that anything that is light is very yellow, anything that's dark is very blue. So as you shift from light to dark, you're shifting from yellow to blue. Again, opposites in the Munsell color wheel. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to intensify the color without intensifying the contrast, the lightness value. We're going to go to Image, Adjustment, Curves. And one of the things you're going to notice about my curves panel is that I've set it to be in 10% increments. Now you can do that as well by holding down Option on Mac or Alt on Windows and simply clicking inside this grid. Now another thing you'll notice is that we have a histogram in the background. Now to some people they find that a little bit distracting. So if you go down here to Curves Display Options, you can click down and turn off the histogram, the intersection lines, and the baseline. I personally turn those things off for the most part because I find them a little distracting, but you can do whatever you want. Now what we're going to do is go to just the A channel. Now in the A channel, anything that's light or towards the top of the curve represents magenta. So if I want to make something magenta, I push the curve to the left. If I want to make it more green, I take the bottom and I push it more to the right. If I make the magenta more magenta and I make the green more green by the same amount, look what's happened to our colors. As long as that line goes right through that intersection, we haven't changed the balance of colors, we've simply changed the intensity of the colors. Now if I go to the B channel, if I make the yellow more yellow and I make the blue more blue, we get a sky that is crazy blue. So I'm going to pull the blue back just a little bit and the yellow back a little bit. I think you'd agree this is a lot more colorful. We're going to click OK. And notice that we now have a layer in LAB mode with very intense color. We're going to drag that over onto our original pond image. Hold down the Shift key and drag over. Now, much like we did with a contrast layer, we're going to rename this layer Color. And much like we did with a contrast layer, we're going to go up here from normal mode and drop down into color mode, ignoring the contrast. Now when we do that, we get this super intense color up here in the sky, or in the trees. And it's almost cartoonish looking. You may want to screen the opacity back just a little bit, but something else to consider is where that color is taking place. Our next step is going to address where we see the color.